head.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Best of 3 right here at Daily Dot on Twitch. I'm your host, Efren, and with me as always is Mike Donka Schiller. We're going to start our show today with an interview, and we have none other than Marn fan himself. He doesn't like this, but the Mika Menace is here in the studio talking to us. Not in the studio, but he's here via Skype, and we're going to talk to him about it. Marn, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm in the car.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I hope you don't get car sick. I can't tell if you're in the front seat or the back seat, but I'm pretty sure that Flo is driving. Is that right?
No, definitely. I'm just driving right now, man.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, that steering wheel is pretty high.
You not see my yeah.
I see the hand. I don't see the steering wheel. But Marn, we have some questions for you. First, let's start off here. I'm going to run down a list. You were just at Norcal Regionals, and you surprised a lot of people, not only by making it out of the pool of death, but by the list of names that you took down. So let's go through some of those names that you beat. Mago, K-Brad, Cyanide from Texas, of course, CJ Showstopper, 801 Strider, Kazunoko, Filipino Man, Ricky Ortiz, and Knuckledew. Let's start right there, man. How the hell did you do that? How the hell did you do that? Where the hell have you been? You show up and you do something like that.
No. For the past 3 weeks, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Hold on, let me make this turn real quick. Past 3 weeks, I've been telling people that I've been the best Mika in the world, you know? People be sleeping on me. They think I'm joking. But I am the best Mika. And they weren't ready for it. They thought Mikas were supposed to be smart and stuff.
Yeah, but Marlon, you weren't the only Mika at this tournament. There was other Mikas there. Why is your Mika so much better?
Yo! To be honest with you, I feel like no other Mika plays Mika right. You know? There's not much finesse in their game. You feel me? Do you know, like, finesse?
I see that you're adding a couple S's there, but could you elaborate on what you mean by finesse?
I actually don't know the definition of the word. I was just saying it. I've heard it before. However, what I mean by that is like there's a certain way you're supposed to play with Mika that I feel like, you know. But like, for example, there's Fudo, right? The Japanese Mika.
Okay.
I told him his face. I said, "Sir, you're not playing it right." And he asked me, "Why?"
We're cutting out a little bit.
And I was like,
Marn, we're losing you a little bit. Can you take it from...
You have to be...
Marn, we're losing you for a second here. Can you take it from you telling Fudo he doesn't know how to play Mika? Marn, we're losing you a little bit. Could you take it from you telling Fudo that he doesn't know how to play Mika?
Being an interesting image here. We might have to, you know, reconnect the call at some point.
Yeah.
I heard. Can you hear me now?
Okay, there you are.
I think we can hear you a little better now.
Take it from there, Marn.
Hello? Are we done, though?
No, we hear you. You're there.
The mobile internet wherever you're driving apparently isn't top tier.
Oh.
We can hear you.
Are you serious?
We lost you for a second,
Okay.
But you're back and you're looking sharp, man. Let's hear it.
Good.
So you were telling us that you told Fudo he does not know how to play Mika.
Okay.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yes. I did tell him that. I said he needed 2 more. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't understand. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear Flo laughing. I can hear Flo laughing. Marn, in all honesty, you are breaking in and out.
We might have to reconnect this as an audio call or something like that.
Marn, we're going to call you right back, and we're going to try to do... Let's try something, Marn, because we don't want to lose you. We're going to call you right back, and let's try to do audio only without the video. I hope the chat will forgive us. All right, we'll call you right back. Will, would you be so kind as to hang up on Mr. Fan and call him back and do audio only? I'd appreciate it.
So far, what we've garnered is that Marn is the best Mika player because he plays her with finesse.
Finesse. Yeah.
And that he had a serious discussion with Fudo about why he is playing the character wrong.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Marn, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Okay.
Now.
We have you up with a nice still image of you from Norcal Regionals. It's an interesting image because you look so serious, but if you were watching that stream or if you saw the ESPN recap, you know that you were the man of many faces. So, okay, if you would be so kind, take it to us from Fudo has an ass Mika compared to you.
Wow, I never said ass. I just said he didn't play it right.
Okay. So what's he doing wrong that you're doing right?
So he told me his thought process behind Mika is actually she's a character where you will always have to hard read your opponent, and you have to spend all of your time conditioning your opponent to do what you want.
Okay. So, I mean, watching you play, it kind of looks like you're playing random. You're saying there's no randomness to that. That is all calculated?
Of course. Whoever thought it was calculated? Whoever thought it wasn't calculated?
Well, you know, half the stream chat, maybe?
They have no idea.
I'm going to pull up a clip of you versus Knuckle-Doo, because if I'm not mistaken, in the tournament, this is the last match that you won, if I'm not mistaken, before facing Justin Wong.
Uh-huh.
Let's see if this plays here. Talk to me about that match. A lot of people think Knuckle-Doo is one of the favorites around here, and you made short work of him, to be honest.
Oh, wait. Did you guys just say Knuckle-Doo is the favorite for what?
I said that he's one of the favorites in Street Fighter, period. But again, you made short work of him. Was there a trick? How did you beat Knuckle-Doo? It looked like you got in his head.
Well, the thing is, in Asia, when you play online, which I always do because that's the only way I can practice, you will face about 85% Nashes. They love Nash over there. Even though Infiltration did body me in the winners, I feel like I got him scared. I actually think I had the match. You know, even though he beat me 2-0, it was 4 rounds of like very closeness. However, when it got to Knuckle-Doo, I felt like I know that matchup so well that I had no doubt that I would lose to him.
Okay.
So
I don't know. It's just...
You mentioned you've been playing mostly solely online. I heard that you've been living in Vietnam. Can you explain how you've made that into good enough practice? Obviously, you've been a top fighting game player in the past, winning EVO and Tatsunoko versus Capcom. How did you turn just online play into enough to get 4th at NCR?
Because online play in Vietnam is like... I can play like Gamer B, Zien, Infiltration. I can play all those guys without lag. So it's very, very easy to get practice over there. It sucks that it's not offline practice because I can't be asking them stuff like, oh, this is good, this is bad, and stuff like that. I just play without lag. So it's very, very easy. In my mind, practice over there, you know, with a lot of practice and finesse. Finesse. You know, I don't know. I feel like Asia's stronger than America.
With that in mind, you're obviously taking the game pretty seriously. Do you plan to make more Pro Tour appearances in the future?
That depends on a lot of factors. But right now...
Elaborate.
Huh?
Can you elaborate on that?
You know, money situation, you know, donations, you know, stream viewers, stuff like that. It depends on a lot, you know, because, you know, me going to NCR was straight up off of donations on my stream, like, because, do I need more, explain any more? Or?
Well, I mean, it sounds like, of course, if I can get paid to go, if I can make a living out of it, I'll keep it going. But, you know, it was interesting. One of those storylines that did come out of this whole event was that you got sent to this Norcal Regionals because of the donations. It looked, if ESPN's front page was any indication, it looked like you really took advantage of every second of screen time that you had while at NCR, not only with the Mika play, but with the taunts and generally looking like you were having a lot of fun up there, perhaps more than everybody else. Why did you do that, and how do you feel about the response to that, including being on frickin' ESPN?
I did it because I just want to make people happy, you know. I felt, you know, since I've been gone, I felt like it got a little stale in the FGC.
Yeah.
You know, I had to light it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I had to make sure people know who I was. I had to make sure people who donated had a good time. I didn't want them to donate and me to lose so fast without doing anything, without showing anything, without showing what I've been practicing and doing for the past 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've only just started playing this game like 3 weeks ago.
You know, what I find interesting about that is that a lot of people were saying he's in Vietnam, there's no scene over there, a local scene. And people were saying, how is he this good if he doesn't have a local scene? You have basically proven, I think, we can say definitively now, you don't need that anymore, as long as you have a good connection. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do agree with that, but I think it would be very hard for someone new to do exactly what I did because I've already been in the scene before.
Okay.
A long time ago. So I kind of understand how to play games, kind of. And I don't know. I feel like it's very. What's that word?
Finesse?
Finesse.
Marn, let's move on here. I want to ask you about, of course, we're talking Norcal Regionals here. You were on a tear. You looked untouchable until you went up against your close friend, Mr. Justin Wong. Why is it that that guy has your number when nobody else did, except for the infiltration match, of course?
Because he taught me how to play. However, my gameplay doesn't reflect his teachings. He does understand how I play, exactly how I want to like move, and exactly what I want to do. But even after the match, he told me himself that, you know, I respect him too much. You know, in the game, like I give him too much respect that I'm too scared to do anything. And you could kind of tell that, I guess.
Yeah.
When I played him, like I do exactly what I did like in every other match.
So, I mean, you've explained now that you felt like something was missing with you gone. It seems like you had a lot of fun at NCR. Obviously, you have your reasons for having been in Vietnam and not being in the American fighting game circuit. You said that you want to come back if donations apply. Have you missed being in the scene, though, in the meantime?
Actually, for the past 2 years, I've enjoyed being a stream monster. I'm always in the tournaments and stuff, the tournament streams and stuff, you know. I mean, it's nice to go out to tournaments and stuff, but usually, like, I'm an introvert. I kind of just like staying inside, you know? It's like a 50-50. If I go, I'm really happy about it. But if I don't go, I'm just like, it's cool. I'll just hang out in the back, you know, and watch.
Marn, we have a question here, and it's probably a troll question here from the chat. AIX Johnny B wants to know, can you ask him if he ate Justin Wong's dog Momochi dog food? I don't know.
I can't.
It's just a silly question. Marn, let me ask you a question here. As somebody who's been in esports, right? I mean, it sounds like FGC is transitioning into esports more and more every day. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You were in FGC, then you were a League of Legends team owner for a while. What experience have you gained that maybe other people in the FGC don't have from having been in both of those worlds?
What have I gained?
Yeah, I mean, do you have a perspective on the current state of the FGC, having seen the larger world of esports, so to speak, and that being League of Legends, which of course is like the behemoth, right? The NFL of competitive video gaming.
I think I'm gonna be real honest here. I think that behind the scenes, behind the curtains, and behind the professionalism, I feel like everyone's the same. You know, all the players, all like the owners and stuff, they all act the same. It's all awesome, you know. But then, you know, FGC needs that one curtain person. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that?
Opens the curtains.
Yeah.
I mean, closes. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Marn, I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, and you know, I hadn't really considered it, but it makes sense that it would be the same type of people. It just so happens that game is bigger. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's bigger and it's more contained. I would say it's more contained than the FGC. The FGC is more about, you know, expressing your feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you certainly did that on the stream.
Right.
With all that taunting.
I know. I don't think you would be able to do that in the LCS.
Yeah, you'd get like fined, wouldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you have no aspirations to go back into LCS or any other esport outside of FGC? I mean, you had your own team, Team Marn. How cool is that?
I'm to be quite honest. I mean, outside of the FGC, you know, if I do or if I don't come to tournaments anymore, I still feel like, you know, I just like staying in Vietnam. I already miss Vietnam. I've only been out for like a week. You know, I don't really want to do anything else. Like, I don't want to, you know, go into other games. I don't want to play other games. I only play fighting games to challenge people. Really, I don't like doing that. And I've never played like a solo game like Final Fantasy or anything like that. That's not me. So I don't like. Contrary to popular belief, I don't like games that much.
It seems like, I mean, at one point, as I mentioned earlier, you were the TVC champion, and you obviously worked at least at some level hard to become the best at that, and it wasn't as much you challenging people at that point as you trying to win. So I'm wondering, has this been an ideal that's changed? Did you used to want to win more, and now you just want to go back to Vietnam? Do you want? What has led to this philosophy?
You know, I played a lot of TVC, like probably hours on end of day, and you know, it was very tough to stay the best in that game. You know, me and Justin, we played that game so much. It was such an experience to be able to beat Justin Wong once in a game. You know, but
it's not.
It's just, the grind is much. The grind is too much. I missed it. I kind of missed it. That's the reason why I started streaming again, playing again and stuff. But in the end, I just want to relax. You know, So you think these tournaments will be more of an every once in a while thing to just, you know, reignite your urge to play, but overall you're more happy watching streams in Vietnam? Yeah. You know, I don't. There's 70 Capcom Pro Tour tournaments or something, 75 or 73 left or whatever, and I'd like to go to like maybe like six or 8 more, and that'd probably be it. I think my next tournament will be a Thailand Uppercut in Thailand at the beginning of May.
Awesome. So you'll be competing in the Asia Pro Tour then?
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, this seems a lot different than, yes, as we said in the past. I mean, you promoted, there was the chocolate bacon video. There's been a bunch of different stuff. Do you kind of want to rewrite the way that you've been looked at in the FGC?
Are you there, Marn?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Did you hear Mike's question?
Yeah, I heard it. You know, I would like. How do I answer this question here? That's kind of a hard question. You know, starting from like a very, very long time ago, I've like completely really phased out like negative comments about me and stuff. It would be nice. I mean, it would be nice for, you know, people to understand who I am, but I know a lot of people's opinions never change no matter what you do, right? So you kind of have to accept stuff that's gonna be talked about for like many billions of years, because I want to be super famous no matter what. You feel me? And you know, I don't think anyone's perfect, and rewriting my image is not a big concern.
But you did just say that you want to be famous. Did I hear that right?
No, I think I want to be famous either way, but that was just an ego thing. I'm sorry. I just said that just to be hilarious, but when I said it, it wasn't that hilarious. But anyways, you know, I just can't please everyone, and in the end, it is what it is. That's all I gotta really say about that.
Okay, on that topic, and you pretty much already answered it, but I did tell you that I wanted to mention this idea that half the FGC is thrilled that you're back. Certainly, the stream was eating that up at NCR. Again, that ESPN video is hilarious of the supercut of all your taunts. The other half, or maybe a subsection of the FGC, is not happy to see you back. And they think that you're the worst thing that could happen to the FGC, if I can use their words. Your thoughts on that? You say what?
I can't please everybody, dude. You know what I'm saying? I just can't please everybody. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, I want to compare myself to the Kevin Hart. Not everybody likes his comedy. I like it. But there's people out there who's going to say negative stuff about him. But does that stuff faze them? Nah. You know?
Marn. Okay.
Hart of the FGC. Kevin Hart.
The Kevin Hart of the FGC. Marn. Now we know.
Or like 50 Cent, but, you know.
The Kevin Hart 50 Cent of the FGC.
I don't know. Yeah.
Hey, Marn, let's change the subject a little bit. Donka was reminding me that you were a Tatsunoko versus Capcom champion at EVO. And
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken, he was telling me
You
that
were
you
an
played...
Alex player, so I was just wondering your thoughts on Alex coming to Street Fighter V.
You know, I don't think I can switch from Mika anymore. You know, I feel like everyone would know me for my Mika. Even though I would like to show the world that I am a great player and I can play someone like Alex. I've seen his videos. I've seen the way he plays. I don't think he's that good. I also don't think Mika's that good. But I will play low tier for the people.
Mika doesn't seem low tier to us.
Mika doesn't seem low tier. What? Are you?
People are doing work. I've seen Native Impact doing work, running a train over there in New York on people. I see you doing work with Mika.
Did you also see him go 0-2 and lose to a guy named Green Tea? Who loses to a guy named Green Tea? I don't know. However, see, Mika, she's good because she can beat anybody, but she's also bad because she can lose to anybody.
I understand that sentiment. I mean, she's definitely a character with a weak neutral game.
Sure.
Who, I mean, makes her money by getting in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's how I feel about the character. A lot of people think she's high tier, but
so how do you feel about the game in general? Obviously, you've been pretty good at it. You've been grinding enough to do well at it. Do you enjoy SF5? Are you only playing it for the fame? What's your reasoning for playing the game?
I absolutely love SF5. I love the way Capcom made the game. I'm glad they shipped out a full game. I truly love the game, and I check it always every day. You know, there's nothing wrong about the game. It's completely 35%, like 100% complete, and it's awesome. I love playing the game, and I enjoy going to tournaments for the game. Thank you, Capcom.
Marn, thank you very much for all those insightful answers. If you could give us a preview as to where you're headed. You are in a car, and if I'm not mistaken, you're on your way to a very special second show of the night.
I am definitely not going to a second show. I'm about to go eat.
In a couple of hours, though, is there any stream that we might be able to catch you on?
I mean, you can catch me on my stream, you know, probably tomorrow, you know. Marn ORZ people, you know what I'm saying?
We have your Twitter handle there on the screen for anybody who wants to follow you. Speaking of which, if you want to follow this channel, we'd appreciate it. But last time I'll ask, you and Flo, certainly you're not going to be on any stream tonight that we could look forward to or anything like that?
Definitely not. I'm going to go eat some pho, dude. I'm serious.
All right, Marn. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I wish you luck in the Asia Capcom Pro Tour. Flo, thank you so much for being a courteous chauffeur for Mr. Marn. Good luck, man.
Oh my God, these people.
All right, I think that's it. Well, there you go. Marn is going to go get some pho. That was an interesting interview.
I mean, there's stuff to take out of that for sure. The idea that he didn't enjoy the spotlight at this point, and he didn't enjoy all the negative press, so he kind of escaped it and has come back a little more positive about things, is I think a good thing. And I think a lot of people have suffered from similar, problems. Chris G definitely had a negative spotlight for a while, took a break, came back, and is much better viewed overall in the scene. And I think it's a good idea for anyone who's not enjoying what they're doing to take that step back, see what you can do, and come back stronger.
I'm not going to put words in Marn's mouth, and I won't say that he should do this or that. But you remember when Chris G came on the show, he said, I'm going to take it easier on Twitter. He got a lot of flack for his Robin Williams comments, reassessed it, came back, and everybody's happy to see him. I saw Chris G play Killer Instinct at Kumite in Tennessee, and that crowd of Killer Instinct fans were fucking thrilled that he was playing their game and in their pools. I later went to the Killer Instinct World Cup, which was a couple of months ago, and I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of the pros that were there in attendance. And we have a little video to show you. If you haven't heard, Season 3 launched today, and we're going to be talking about that with our panel in a second.
On Windows 10 as well.
You can explain that to me later because I'm not a PC gamer. But first, let's enjoy this quick video, the first of 3 of Killer Instinct. We asked the questions. This question was, in 2016, you have Street Fighter V, you have Mortal Kombat X, you have King of Fighters, you have Tekken 7, you have all these games. How does Killer Instinct compete? That was the question that we put to them. So, Will, if you could run that.
Killer Instinct.
How does Killer Instinct compete with games like Street Fighter V and MKX?
What were those games you were talking about again? Because all I know is Killer Instinct right now.
This is going to be a big year for a lot of fighting games. I think Killer Instinct is definitely going to be at the top of the heap.
We got to get the name out. We got to show that we have a community and we care about our game.
You see the best of the best working their butts off. And not only that, IG has heard our voices, and we're having a Season 3.
They have a whole fan base that the developers actually talk to get feedback from, and that helps a lot.
In Killer Instinct, you have Saber Wolf, which is like a crazy wolf that dashes in and out.
With a new season coming out, a lot of cats coming out, a lot of Europeans, they want to get into the game. I think Killer Instinct is going to be able to compete. Microsoft's probably going to throw some money in this game. I hope they do.
You have Orchid, who has cats that make your stuff safe. And
2016 is going to definitely be the year of Killer Instinct. And the reason why I say that is because of the PC launch.
There's a lot of people that don't actually have an Xbox. So I think PC Master Race is going to bring them in. I think that's what's going to reel them in, man.
It's easier to pick up. People want to feel competitive, be competitive faster than other games. Like Street Fighter is much harder to understand at higher level.
Everyone's trying to help each other. Everyone wants to level up as a whole community. Not just as a player, but as in the community.
And you have this big, giant golem named Aganos, which, how do you fight that?
So I think the PC release in March and the new season will definitely help Killer Instinct to grow and interest other players from other genres like Halo, but also other fighting games to come in and, check it out and see if they like it. I think they will, because Killer Instinct is such a great game. So I'm very excited.
Welcome back. We're going to start. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're just going to bring on our panel. Sorry, I'm still a little bit confused by that interview a little bit. that was somewhat bizarre. Joining us now is .esports writer Steven Ace King Offsuit Jurek. Hey, Steve. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fantabulous.
Is that the Shooter McGavin salute?
That's the Shooter Steve salute now. I took that.
Right on, man. And from Event Hubs, joining us as he always does, John Velociraptor Guerrero. Hey, John.
What's going on, guys? How about that Marn interview?
Yeah, how about it? What'd you guys think?
Just so you know, from this point on, I'm going to do all of these of these panels from my car.
As long as it's not emotion, and if it is, hopefully somebody else is driving. All right, guys, the things I want to talk about tonight, of course, are Killer Instinct Season 3 is launched. That is a good community, guys. I know I saw people in the chat saying, who cares about Killer Instinct? The community does. The Killer Instinct community does. And I can tell you firsthand from having been at the Killer Instinct World Cup, that's a good group of people.
No, definitely. And I mean, a lot of the top Capcom players, F-Champ, Jay Wong, all these people played Killer Instinct. And I heard straight from F-Champ's mouth that the reason he doesn't play it now is because it's a difficult game to be in shape for all the time due to combo breakers and stuff like that. But it's not a game that people disrespect necessarily, such as it is a game that's really hard to play on the side. That being said, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully with Windows 10, more people will play it.
What do you guys think? I mean, because that's the thing. New roster, they threw in a Halo character. They threw in a Battletoads character. They threw in some other fan favorites and some new characters. There's a vampire in there. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things. That and the PC port are what people are hoping, is going to bring this game to that next level. If you heard that interview, we had Jabali, of course. His opinion is biased. He is the community manager for Iron Galaxy, but he did say this game's going to be on the top this year. What do you guys think? Let's start with you, John.
Yeah. Well, I've never really played KI, but I've done plenty of watching, and I've done plenty of stories and coverage on it. And my general impression as a game player in general is that this is a game made by gamers for gamers. There are so many little Easter eggs. There's so much, like for instance, you can go to the menu after you play a match, and if you traverse the menu, it plays the tunes to the game's theme song on the main menu. Little things like that. Like they've done a whole bunch of stuff just to to appease the crowds, and at the same time, the gameplay and the content is top tier. And people talk about how it's not the most popular, but it's climbing the ladder constantly. And with the kind of content that's been coming out, especially with what's coming out for Season 3, this is huge. They're only getting better. And like I said, it's a game made by gamers for gamers. Like, it's not the biggest right now, but I would not be surprised if this thing continues to grow. I sure hope it does, because it seems like of all the games out there, Killer Instinct deserves it, man. It's a great thing.
And one thing I will note for people wanting to get into the game is that people like Brandon Alexander, who ran the KI World Cup the first time, have all but confirmed that more events will be coming out in the future, and that if you're worried about competition existing for this game, there are weekly online tournaments. There are events being planned for the future, despite how many people might enter. There's a lot going on at the grassroots level. So if you enjoy it, don't let the community numbers, which are definitely growing, be the reason you don't play it.
I mean, quality over quantity type of argument here, but there was a dude at the Killer Instinct World Cup, which was held in San Antonio, Texas, just south down the road from us. From the Netherlands. He had never been.
They made sure that people from Japan, the Netherlands, and even I think there was a few French players there.
There was, yeah,
got their way into there.
But it was a good scene. I mean, I'm basing this not on having played the game, on having been to multiple FGC events and tournaments, and then having seen the Killer Instinct World Cup. It was a good group of people. They did announce, not only is there more Killer Instinct World Cups to come, and Brandon Alexander, our friend of the show, will be helping host those or run those. There's also a Killer Instinct Con, a whole convention around it. I'm not sure how you can get a whole convention out of that, but I'll be excited to check it out. Steve, you have anything to say about Killer Instinct?
I mean, here's the thing about KI for me. Even if you don't necessarily like the game itself, if you look at everything that's gone into it, this is the type of game you want to see succeed. You look at the passionate community around it. You look at the development team that's obviously fans, the way they incorporate feedback. I mean, I think one of the highlights of KI World Cup for a lot of people was when Keats revealed a lot of the Season 3 changes in front of that live crowd, listening to them react to some of the nerfs, some of the buffs. It was amazing. I mean, and you look at the things they do, like the tutorial mode, like the content they produce. This is the type of game you want to see more of if you're a fan of fighting games. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I got to back up my computer before I upgrade to Windows 10, but it's something that I really, really want to get into now that I have a chance to, and I'm really excited to see. It might not be it might not burst the dam down in terms of players, but it's going to get it in the hands of more people, and that can only be a good thing.
All right. Well, next week.
And I wanted to add.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just really quick, that the fact that it came out only on Xbox One to begin with, and that we had this movement onto PS4 and PC for the fighting game community, and it still made it through that entire time where it was only on Xbox One, and now it's coming on to PC, and it kind of it went through the ringer a little bit there, and I think that it's surviving that time is a testament to how good of a game it really is.
Right on. There will be another piece from those Killer Instinct interviews that I did. The question will be, how excited are you for the Killer Instinct World Cup? And then the last question in 2 weeks, it's going to be a surprise, but it has to do with one of the figures in the Killer Instinct community. All right, guys. Avid. Did you guys hear about this Avid thing? These dudes put up a ton of money and then disappeared almost immediately. Steve, if I'm not mistaken, you did a story on this. What can you tell us? Catch us up for people who don't know.
Okay. This was announced on Thursday, actually, right the day before Norcal Regionals, where Avid, this company that no one had ever heard of, is all of a sudden the presenting partner of Norcal Regionals. A couple hours after that, there's this announcement that there's a $100,000 fighting game championship event in December, and Norcal Regionals is going to be the first qualifier for that, for some of the games. Games included Street Fighter V, Mortal Kombat XL, Guilty Gear Xrd, KI, Smash Melee, and Smash Wii U. 2 days later, they announced that unfortunately, either they weren't able to come to terms with Capcom, or they weren't able to dot all the I's, cross the T's. So Street Fighter V no longer part of that event. The $100,000 is going to be split among the other 5 games. Whether there's going to be a 6th game added on later, we don't know, or if it's just going to stick with the 5, we don't know. And that's kind of been the word of the week with this. We don't know. This is a company that, like I said, we hadn't heard of before. Only announced its existence 2 days before they announced the KI, or the championship series. Really haven't necessarily, I don't want to say they haven't been outright or forthright, but there just hasn't been a lot of information about them.
Super vague. It's super vague. I see that and I'm like, what are these guys? Like, they seem well intentioned, but I read the Meet the CEO and I'm like, okay, but what are you doing? What is the deal? What is the business? What is the service? What are you providing? It's confusing. Now, remind me, did they pay out anything at Norcal Regionals, or did they not give any prize money for Norcal Regionals?
Not in terms of pricing. I know there was probably some money
to help run it. Sure.
That. And I should point out that the big thing about this, the reason for a lot of people that this has some sort of credibility, is because there's a qualifying circuit. And the circuit is made up of some of the most well-known, some of the most well-run tournaments in the fighting game community. NCR, FCR, Combo Breaker, CEO Taku, and the Big House. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you know the people behind these events, they are some of the most on point when it comes to running an event, running the business end of an event. So if you're watching from the outside, you have to have, or I have faith in those guys that everything here is on the up and up. The only problem is, for a lot of fans, they're not going to buy in until people get paid for their flights and they pay out their championship money, which isn't going to be till December when the event happens. So there's going to be 9 months of essentially trust us, we're going to deliver. I know you've been burned before by some of these other events, but trust us on this.
You know, that's the burden of anybody trying to come in and spread some money around, even if it's altruistic or if it's self-serving or, trying to exploit situation. Regardless, people will immediately think of Epic Gaming Lounge. They'll think of VXG. They'll think of other, promises that came and went. Now, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? At least I will. They haven't actually had a chance to pay and then not paid anything that we know of. Let's hope it works out. Any opinions on this, John, or you?
I mean, the biggest misstep so far was obviously announcing it 3 days before you then lose the SF5 circuit, which is a major blow to your credibility. But, and as one of the most cautious people in the scene about these types of things, as Steve said, the people they're working with are people who I don't think would get burned that easily. So
Sure.
I'm keeping my breath held until we see what really happens.
Now, is that a nice shot in the arm for all these other games now? Street Fighter V is out, but that means more money for the other games. Hey, that's a nice little thing. I can't back this up, but I can imagine some of these other games might feel in the shadow of Street Fighter V this year, for example. And now they're getting some love. John, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. And we were just talking about KI. Like, I mean, essentially, this could be another, like 20K going to KI if it gets spread out evenly, right? And so, I mean, it is exciting. I am very reserved about it. It came out of left field, like you guys said. And so I'm going to kind of just wait and see. I remember when we first got word of this, it was really like $100,000. Well, we can't ignore that. But as a news site, we're like, how credible is all this? Well, they're working with TOs that we really know, and we know what they're doing, and Jabali's retweeting them and stuff like that. So it's got to have some credibility. But yeah, the whole situation just feels bizarre, and it's like it's not coming from any foundation that the community can see. And so yeah, like I said, and I feel like we're all in the same group here. I hope it pans out well. I hope that it's overall a good thing for the community, that money gets tossed in and more notoriety comes as a result of it. And it looks like it will, but yeah, we're just kind of keeping our guard up because we don't know.
The nice thing is, unlike any Dancing Fighter G tournaments that people have heard about in SRK over the past, these are partnered with tournaments, so no one's going to be flying out to an event hosted by them and then get burned if that were to happen. So
yeah, it sounds like they just want to add to the price.
I think it's the kind of thing we can calmly let set its course without worrying too hard about it. But maybe I'm wrong,
I could see that, and that all makes sense to me. Moving on. Go ahead. We're not going to move on yet. Steve, let's hear it, bud.
I think one thing to keep in mind, and one thing I'm mindful of, is we don't know the reasons why Street Fighter V didn't work out, but we can assume that there wasn't necessarily a partnership between Avid and Capcom in place. Now, you think about it, look at the other 5 games on there. Killer Instinct has a developer-supported event in KI World Cup. Mortal Kombat XL has something in terms of Pro League.
The ESL Pro League.
Guilty Gear has their Arc Revo Cup. And Nintendo is Nintendo. So you think about this. Are these other companies going to be okay with another company that they don't necessarily know coming in and, in their eyes, taking some shine off of their events to promote this other event? Is that going to be a problem? I don't necessarily think it will for like KI or for Guilty Gear, but I'm kind of worried about MKX, and I'm really worried about Smash.
Nintendo for sure. Yeah. Just with their track record, not even wanting to be at Evo, despite how much popularity Melee got a couple years back, and they weren't supposed to be streamed. Of course, I would be wary of Nintendo.
Especially since you have to figure Nintendo is going to be a sponsor of the Big House. So even if they're not necessarily directly involved, there is that sort of indirect connection between the two. And if I feel like if anybody's going to have a problem with it, it's going to be the big N.
There you go, man. Nintendo. Guys, I don't know if you knew, but there was a Capcom Pro Tour Premier event over the weekend, Norcal Regionals. In fact, we had a guest on earlier.
Can I say that I called that the same person would win both events?
Are you serious? I don't remember that.
Right before the tournament, I said, if you have 2 premier events, one weekend after another, someone's going to win both of them. It's a bad idea.
Wow.
But maybe it was a good idea. Maybe it was hype. But it was hype.
Did you predict that it would be the same grand finals?
I had no idea it would go that far.
Well, let's talk about that. That's our next topic, guys. Norcal Regionals. First, Steve, if you'd be so kind, how have the points shuffled? I have the top 10 right here ready to go.
Well, they didn't really shuffle because, like I said, the first and second place from last week at at final round was exactly the same as first and second place this week at NCR. Infiltration took home top honors. Tokido finished in second, so they are far ahead of the rest of the field. Also, keep in mind the rule change that came into effect this year. At premier events, you have to win in order to get the automatic placing. It doesn't drop down to second. So even though Infiltration had already qualified last week, his spot does not go to Taquito. So Taquito has to earn his way in another way.
Now, Taquito has a handsome 256 points, though. You were saying, John?
Well, yeah, with that, there are, and I think this is a big confusion in the community in general, because it's a little bit harder to follow the way the Capcom Pro Tour is set up this time around. But you've got 11 premier spots, right? Infiltration took one of those, and then technically he took another one of those, right? And instead of that going to Tokido, now that goes somewhere else, right? Where exactly does that go?
That goes to the global points leaderboard. So it was originally 8 people who qualified via global points. It is now at 9. And if Infiltration continues to dominate like he has, that number is going to grow and grow throughout the year.
Now, do global points come after regional points?
Yeah, that was exactly my
follow-up
question,
Because I know there's
Steve.
regional qualifiers.
Well, there's also the regional leaderboards, and now, as you're saying, a global leaderboard. Steve, make sense of this for me.
So it's it's very similar to last year. It works a lot easier than it is to describe. You have your 12 premier events, if you include EVO, plus your 4 regional championships, which work exactly the same way. So 16 people will qualify automatically by winning an event. Then the top 8, well now 9, will qualify through global points. And then the top 2 from each regional leaderboard who aren't already in, they will qualify. So as of right now, there are no North American points right now because premier events don't count. They're not back to the region. So whoever wins West Coast Warzone, which is going to be, I believe, the first regional event in North America, that they will jump to the lead in the North America region.
And meanwhile, Tokido is sitting pretty in the global rankings with, some 550 points at this point for getting 2 second places in a row.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 256 total. Am I getting that wrong?
Oh, 120. Okay, so
Correct.
125, yeah, whatever.
Sure, no, whatever. Math. Anyway.
He's at 256. If this were last year, he'd be already locked in. But with so many more events, it's tough to say. I mean, I wouldn't bet against Taquito not making the field. But if he decided to take a vacation till December, I wouldn't necessarily. His spot is not necessarily locked up just yet.
Tokido's,
yes.
Okay.
Infiltration is in like Flynn.
All right. What other things stood out to you guys at Norcal Regionals? I had fun watching it. We already talked to Marn, and I think I've had about enough talking about Marn for one episode. It was very entertaining. The ESPN thing, I laughed. I was enjoying watching the Mika play. If you guys like to say
the
something about
story
that.
of the weekend was probably, outside of obviously Infiltration Tokido making top 2 again, the death pool, which Marn did win.
That was it.
And
let me interrupt for a second. So we talked about it, but sometimes these details don't sink in until somebody says it to me a third time. At final round, the big concern was that they had a bunch of late registrants and it screwed up all the brackets. Is that right?
Right. I mean,
that was one of the issues.
Yes, one of the issues.
So this time in Norcal Regionals, and I'm sure this has been done before, if you enter late, it's a brand new pool that gets built, and it's the death pool.
Yes, correct. They had a last pool set up to be empty before the pre-regis were open, where every single late registrant on site would be entered into this pool. So it didn't matter how big it got. I think it ended up being around 50 people compared to the other pools, like 20 or so, or 10 to 20 or so. And they all had to compete for just 2 spots, regardless of this. And this is to punish late registrants for potentially ruining the seeding of the early registration.
Okay. How does everybody feel about that? I'd like to know. John.
It is amazing. It works on more than one level, too, because like Ultra David said, while we were watching it, and this was on the first day of the tournament, right? He goes, this is Sunday. This is the hype of Sunday before Sunday. This is the hype of finals before finals. Because you had what was it? Mago and you had Filipino Champ, and you had K-Brad all in the same pool. And it's like, and there were plenty more names in there. And these guys are all playing just to get out of pools. And so the audience is very, very entertained, like this death pool thing. At the same time, you are further punishing or discouraging late registration, which is going to help the tournament run smoother. So I think it's a win-win, and I think that this should be something that every tournament adopts. So this should be a normal thing. Either it'll make people register on time and not be lazy, or it'll be entertaining for the rest of us. Like I say, a win-win situation.
You mean you don't think this is problem solved, guys? We have a death pool at every tournament. Nobody will ever register late.
Steve can talk first if he wants, but I mean, I'll just go quick. I don't think it's a bad idea whatsoever. I personally am of the idea that we shouldn't necessarily have on-site registration at all. But I think if you're going to, this isn't a bad way to handle it. Some people were upset that it costs more still and also throws you into the death pool. And to be honest, there are situations where you don't necessarily, you're going to go, you want to show up late, and it can kind of ruin your fun per se. But at the same time, yes, you should be at advantage for helping out the tournament organizer in make fair pools.
Okay.
The only thing I would change is I think that the late registration or the registration period ended a bit early. If you're going to have a death pool, I think you can afford to make pools, 3, 4, 5 days before the tournament rather than cutting it off 2 weeks beforehand. But overall, I think the experiment was a success, despite the fact that people didn't like it. Obviously, Mike and Z commentated. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was in a tournament before a tournament. I enjoyed it, but I can see why some people would be upset. But it's the tournament's decision, and people are going to go back to NCR for sure.
Steve, do you have something to add?
Yeah, they actually accepted registration online through the 20th, or they cut it off early in the morning on the 20th.
Really now? Because that is not what I heard. Okay, so then I rescind my comments.
So, here's my thing. There are two groups. One is the group that a lot of people assume that everyone falls into. It's the guy who's too lazy to register, just thinks they can stroll up, expect to be seated at the very last minute. And there is a segment of that. But there's also people who have real life responsibilities. For 90% of us, 99% of us, Street Fighter isn't the most important thing in the world. We can't get off work necessarily. We can't, take care of our other responsibilities and know for sure if we can go until the very last minute. So I don't think we should necessarily force every tournament to run a death pool for that reason. But I think that we have to do something simply because of the size of Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5 events right now. We're looking at a 400-man tournament at NCR, a 1,000-man tournament at Final Round, over 3,000 at EVO. At some point, you have to say, I'm sorry everyone who wants to show up late, but we have to do what's best for the people who we know are coming. And we have to make sure that we can run a quality event. And if that means that we have to turn people away at the door, then I think some events are going to have to go down that route. I know CEO is not accepting any emergency registration this year. And
they did cap Smash, I remember, last year when it was getting too big. So, it's definitely a decision that can help a tournament rather than hurt it.
They've capped everything this year at CEO.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know Street Fighter 5 and the 2 Smash games are capped at 1,024. Everything else is capped at 256.
So Steve, are you saying that you would rather see tournaments just not have late registration at all, or over the death pool, or which one would you prefer personally?
If tournaments can handle it, I would like to see. I would be fine with them doing late registration. Some of them doing a death pool, some of them just handling it as normal, depending on what works for that particular event. But right now, I think we're at a point where some events simply can't handle it just because of how many people are itching to play.
Without question, and you book your venue obviously a year in advance for all of these events, so maybe that's the time to decide on that cap.
All right, enough about tournament structures and what we like and don't like. I want to talk a little bit about Justin Wong. He was the highest placing American player at this tournament. You could make the argument he did better than last week. Anybody want to say something about that? I'll start you off with this. I saw a tweet from him saying that he really wants to make Karn work, and then he thinks he's at 75% with it right now. I would imagine of his own knowledge base.
And I think there was an interesting stat about how many Japanese or foreign players he's beaten as opposed to the rest of America as a whole in top 8, which is that Justin is 2-1 versus foreign competitors, and the rest of America is 0-11.
That sounds like a stat we would get from Steve.
There's a reason for that.
Oh, I read that off your page. Wow.
This guy took your stat?
That's what I do.
You speak before me. You take my stuff, man. I'm feeling a little hurt right now. To be honest.
Well, Steve, I'll rescind that statement too, and you can talk about Justin Wong's ability to play versus foreign players.
All right. Well, let me tell you something about Justin Wong's ability to play against foreign players. I don't know if you heard this before, but in Capcom Pro Tour top 8s this year, he is 2-1 against non-American players. All of their American combined, 0-11. That is, I don't know if you guys heard that anywhere before.
I'm pretty sure I heard that from Donka before. So I mean, if you want to steal his stuff, whatever.
Killing me. Killing me.
John, did you enjoy watching Justin Wong make it as far as he did?
Yeah, and Justin Wong is Justin Wong, and that's not. I mean, most people that are watching this right now are going to know what I mean by that. That he's a fighting game player. He knows how to do the chess match. You give him a fighting game, he's gonna figure out how to do it, and he's gonna do it well. That said, I kind of want to go back to this. He's the most successful American player in top 8.
I'm sorry, after you, John. Okay, after you, he's the most successful.
Shut up, man. No. I'm still very much pretty green at the game. I haven't had a whole lot of time to be able to investigate it yet. I've been writing about it and watching it, but not playing it enough. But that's neither here nor there. I do want to say that while I was at Final Round, I got to hang out with the likes of Brent, Julio, Chris T, and they made it their mission to play against as many Japanese players as they could, because America has the game at the same time as Japan. These guys are hungry. They're like, all right, we're back on a level playing field, and they are very confident that they are going to give Japan a run for their money. Now, yes, Brent made it to top 8, got bodied by foreign players. Okay, I hear you. And yes, I can't really argue against the stats that Justin's the only one to really do anything against foreign players within the small window of top 8 at these tournaments. Now, that's not an insignificant statistic there, but off the scenes, with money matches and things like that sort that I have seen so far, there have been a lot of American players doing really well against the foreign players. And with what we just talked about, with Justin doing so well in top 8 and being the only one, I feel like that's kind of misguiding, the masses to think that he's our only savior that can fight against the foreign players. I have very much faith that players like Brent, like Julio, like Long Island Joe, Filipino Champ, those guys, you cannot count them out. It is not going to be just Japan's game.
Totally, and we've
Japan
seen
Korea.
Even in tournament, Japanese and Korean players lose to Americans so far. We've seen essentially the same foreign players make it to top 8 in both of these premier events that were 2 weeks in a row. So it's definitely unfair to judge that when, frankly, traveling between Atlanta and NorCal and preparing for all that takes a week in and of itself. So I mean, of course, the results were going to be similar between both tournaments, and I think that's why it's really interesting that it's going to be a while before the next American premier event.
We'll see what happens, gentlemen. I don't know if you heard. Are we done talking about Norcal Regionals? You got anything else to say? Steve,
I'm kind of afraid to go for it. We can go to the next thing.
I just want to point out one more thing about the stats. It's super early. We're talking about 3 events here. So to say that foreign players are going to own American Souls forever is not right. To say that American players will not win a premier event, it's not right yet. It's not. Don't write them off. But right now, we've all had the game for the same amount of time. A lot of the American players were able to get their hands on it a little early through various means, whose legalities we will not discuss right now. So to have our cookies eaten in front of us, basically, by the Infiltrations and Taquitos of the world, it's not a good look. And I hope we can turn it around, but it is, don't write us off.
Look at this doubter over here.
No, not only that. Is this your opinion as an impartial journalist, Steve?
I'm trying. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes it hurts. And right now, it's right in the chest, man. Right in the chest.
I think we can all agree that it would be awesome to see an American guy win it. Is Marn considered a foreign player now? Because I was going to say he took out Kazunoko and a couple other guys.
I think that's up to him.
Anyway, I said we were going to talk about him. Guys, there was a patch for Street Fighter V.
There was a patch.
Tomorrow.
Was there?
No, it wasn't a patch.
There was a patch already.
Kidding, I'm kidding.
Why you got to do that to me, John?
Because you
1.02.
All right. We're going to talk about that patch, John. I'm not going to ask you any questions about it, okay? Mike, tell me about the patch.
All right. So the patch, there was the notable additions of the challenge mode, the
trials, the
demonstration mode,
sure.
and tomorrow Alex and the shop.
And they also made some cosmetic changes.
Yes, which will allow you to buy premium
screen.
costumes. There was the cosmetic changes to the versus screens, nerfing some of the characters' assets, of course.
But you, but you sent me a clip here.
Less known by some, probably known by a lot of people watching this show, is that there were a few not necessarily balance changes, but slight mechanical changes to the game. Most notably, neutral jump and back jumps both gained 1 frame of pre-jump, which means that they're not airborne for an extra frame and that the entire animation of jumping will take a frame longer. Well, this sounds inconsequential. What this means is it makes a few safe jumps not work, it makes a few option selects different, and it actually makes a few of them easier. Specifically, one thing that's popped up in this game is that you can actually jump cancel a special move, and then it will be considered airborne and thus throw invincible. And because it takes an extra frame to jump now...
Slow down for me a second. Give me an example of a move that you can jump cancel.
I will give you an example. So the command grabs in this game, for the most part, with a few exceptions, most command grabs are throwable. If you are to end your command grab input in an up-back and then time the input for the button properly, it will now not be able to be thrown.
You'll still get the throw animation?
You'll still get the command grab itself, but you can't be thrown.
And that's gone?
That's not gone, that's actually easier now because there's an extra frame to jump. So some cheap stuff has gotten easier. However, it's now you have a little bit more time to hit someone on the ground if you're to time your meaty late and other stuff like that.
Okay.
Banana Ken and a few other players were kind enough to already make videos demonstrating that a couple other OSs, such as Special Move, Throw Tech OS, are still in the game. A lot less change than I think they meant to change, but the game's a little different nonetheless. I've also heard, and this is completely unconfirmed, that but was listed by notable sources like Dantarion, that there's been a couple other changes to moves, mostly not a huge deal.
Go and figure it out.
Go and figure it out.
All right.
Or, look at Dantarion's data.
Well, there you go. The other big thing that we're all excited. Thank you for the insightful breakdown of the patch. That did happen, John. Now, Alex. Alex is coming. It would have been great to have him on the show today, to be able to play him on the show, but he's not until tomorrow. Somehow, though, there's a ton of footage of this guy, including every single one of his alternate costumes, his V-triggers, his trials, his actual gameplay footage. We have a little bit of it here. Steve, I'm sorry. John, you wanted to talk about specifically the V-trigger that Alex has.
Yeah. Okay, so I just saw a video earlier today as I was sitting down to begin writing. And I was discussing it with my fellow Event Hubs writers, and we were watching. It was one of Datarian's videos, and it shows Alex go into V trigger, and then do a parry, and there's another one floating around where he essentially does the Evo Moment 37 parry against Chun-Li.
That's playing on the screen right now.
Well, I can't see that.
Sorry about that, John. This was just I was letting you know that it's playing on the screen right now.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So, an interesting thing about this, as we've been playing through this game, we have the first 16 characters. V-triggers are different, but there are a lot of similarities in certain groups of V-triggers. Some, like Nash, you just use. It's a one-time thing, and it does whatever it does. But others, like Alex's, are these time-based V-triggers that deplete with either certain moves that you do or just over time. And Alex's is different in that when he's in this mode and he does this parry, and I'm not exactly sure the command for it or anything like that at this point, it brings more V-trigger in. We have seen that in Birdie, but I'm not sure. I believe a reversal popped up while he was doing the parry, and there was talk of it maybe being his V reversal while he's in V trigger, that therefore meaning he can do V reversals while in V trigger. It's just a very peculiar looking sequence, and it feels like his V trigger is going to be a little bit different than everybody else's. And so that makes me really excited to kind of explore it and play him and see what he has to offer in that department.
Yeah,
the one thing that you pointed out that blew my mind was the meter stuff going on here. If you could explain some of that.
Oh, I mean, John explained a little bit already, but yes, upon a successful parry of a move, you gain back V-trigger, essentially allowing you to do it more times. Here, he can do it as long as Chun-Li is doing her super and still have a full bar afterwards. His V-trigger puts him into the mode that lets him do his running lariat. It's kind of akin to a focus attack. It has armor. If you charge it all the way up, it's unblockable, and you can combo after it. But as John said, I haven't played the game yet. I'm not sure if the parry is a separate input or exactly how that works. But I know that the attack itself is armored.
There you go, guys. Who's going to be playing him tomorrow? John, I know you're going to be playing some Alex.
I don't have my PS4 with me here in Miami, so I'm not. I'm really sad. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, what do you think of Alex, man?
Man, I'm kind of excited for him. I really don't like him visually. You know,
his proportions are a little weird.
I've had this problem with basically Street Fighter V as a whole. I don't really like the art design. I understand what they're going for. It's just not my preference. But I think, how do I put this? A lot of people have been mad about the March update coming at the end of March.
Oh, you mean the early April update?
Here's the thing. If the launch was perfect, no one would give a crap about that. No one would give a crap about a trailer for a character that everyone's going to have, that no one's going to spend money on because they either A, bought a season pass, or B, earned enough fight money to get them for free. But if this anger wouldn't be there if there hadn't been all these other missteps and all these other errors in the launch of this game. It's just been a very, very rough start. And, you know, I was hoping that the March update would be sort of a turning point, but you look at the trials they have, you know, it's a few trials for everybody. It's great. They don't even have a tutorial added. They have demonstration videos for a lot of the. Why aren't they trials? Why are they not something you can have people pick up and do? It's still very hard to recommend this game to people who are not necessarily Street Fighter fans. And I was hoping that this would be the start of turning that around.
Yeah, it does look at this point like outside of the story mode update that will be coming and the shop update that's coming, I believe, tomorrow. Although not including the real money shop, which will be later. We've seen the end of the modes, and I think it set a precedent for what we're going to see. And while I'm definitely proud of the fact that the patch did release yesterday, I successfully played it as soon as it released.
And I had more than one person in the lobby.
Yeah, and more than one person in the lobby has worked, at least to some extent. As Steve said, the game's not getting much more casual friendly as it goes on. I actually like the art design of the game for the most part. I think Ken and Alex have a unexperienced barber, and that could use some work. But overall, I think it mostly looks good.
You're talking about Bonita?
I'm talking about Bonita.
Guys.
Wait, what?
That's the game. The competition has been fierce and very enjoyable. The game still has some hiccups. The main menu's a little bit wonky. I hope that'll be all cleared up. But that brings us to the end of our show. John, thank you so much for joining us, as you always do, all the way from Miami.
Love you guys. Thank you very much for having me.
And Steve, Ace King off suit, the man with the stats that are so often quoted. Thank you for being on the show.
I don't hate you guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the chat room for hype spotting this weekend.
Absolutely, man. That brings us to the end of the show. If you like what you saw, we put a lot of work into getting a show for you up every week. Please consider giving us a follow, and if you're feeling generous, donate to us, or do a subscribe button, rather. We do this every week, and we want to keep on doing it.
Capcom Pro Talk's happening tonight?
Capcom Pro Talk tonight with Mike Ross. He didn't say it, but Marn is on that show. In fact, I believe that's where they were headed after lunch, potentially. So definitely check out Mike Ross's Capcom Pro Talk. I anticipate there'll be some very fun hype matches between Mike, Flo, and Martin.
And of course, Wednesday Night Fights tomorrow, always hosted by Level Up. I'll have a recap on the show as well. So, I mean, make sure to check that out. One of the biggest weeklies, if not the biggest weekly in the entire country, or maybe not the world, honestly, for Street Fighter V. So,
You could probably make that argument.
Yeah.
That it's the biggest. And that's something, actually, I'm glad you brought it up. We haven't actually really talked about it on the show. We're working with Alex. We're producing a Wednesday Night Fights recap hosted by you. We cut it together, and it runs on the stream, and we're very excited to be working with him. And we appreciate your support in that endeavor. If you have anything that you'd like to tell us, tweet at us, talk to us, hit us up on Twitter. We're always wanting to hear that. If there's somebody you want on the show, tell us that again. As long as it's not Low Tier God, I will try my best to get him on the show. See you next week, guys.